What happens when the doing stops? When the checklists end, the praise quiets, and there's no next goal waiting to pull you forward. Do you feel peace? Or panic? Most of us don't realize how much of our identity has been built on achievement until we stop achieving. And then the silence feels unbearable. Because suddenly, you're face to face with a question most of us spend a lifetime avoiding. Who am I when I'm not achieving? When achievement becomes identity. From the time we were children, we were rewarded for performance. Good grades, clean rooms, winning trophies, pleasing others. Every gold star, every compliment, every "I'm proud of you" carved an invisible truth into our minds. I am valuable when I do well. We didn't mean to confuse achievement with identity. It just happened. We learned that love came faster when we excelled, and attention stayed longer when we impressed. So we kept performing. We learned to define ourselves by external markers: grades, jobs, relationships, beauty, success. And slowly, being someone became more important than being. You might not even notice it until life slows down. Until you step away from the noise, the grind, the proving, and suddenly, the stillness feels empty. That emptiness isn't failure. It's the echo of everything you've built on external validation. It's the sound of your soul asking to be known beyond achievement. The illusion of enough. There's a story most high achievers live by. Maybe you've lived it too. When I get there, I'll finally feel enough. You chase the next milestone, degree, promotion, follower count, income bracket. Each time you reach it, there's a burst of satisfaction. And then a quiet drop back into doubt. You tell yourself, just one more goal. Just one more success. Just one more accomplishment and I'll feel worthy. But the truth is, you can't out-achieve the feeling of not enough. Because enoughness was never meant to be earned. It was meant to be remembered. Achievement can decorate your life, but it can't define your worth. And when we confuse the two, we end up trapped in an endless loop of doing. Always producing, always performing, always afraid to pause. Because if we stop, who are we then? The fear of irrelevance. Let's talk about that fear. The quiet panic that says, if I stop achieving, I'll disappear. It's the fear of invisibility. The fear that without your accomplishments, no one will see you. The fear that your value will vanish when the applause fades. That fear is old. It's rooted in our need for belonging. As children, being good often meant being loved. And being seen meant being safe. So your brain learned, to stay safe, stay impressive. To stay loved, stay useful. To stay worthy, stay busy. But the problem is, when your identity depends on being useful or successful, rest feels like death. Stillness feels like erasure. You keep running, not because you love the race, but because you're terrified of what happens if you stop. And yet, ironically, that stopping is where the real you begins. The moment the mask slips. There comes a moment, sometimes quiet, sometimes crashing, when the mask of achievement can no longer hold. Maybe it's burnout. Maybe it's heartbreak. Maybe it's a season when everything slows down against your will. You try to fill the silence, but it doesn't work anymore. You realize that without the titles, the output, the validation, you don't quite know who you are. It's terrifying, but it's also sacred. Because this is the moment of truth. When the performing stops, authenticity has room to appear. It's like stripping layers of armor you didn't realize you were wearing. Armor made of achievements, perfection, productivity. Beneath it all, there's someone who's always been there, waiting. Someone not built on proving, but on presence. That's the self you meet in the quiet. Let me tell you a story. Emma was a high performer. The kind of person everyone described as driven. She built a career that looked perfect on paper. But when her company downsized and her position vanished, she found herself spiraling. Without her job title, she didn't know how to introduce herself. Without constant productivity, she didn't know how to rest. She told me once, I used to wake up every morning and know exactly who I was, because I had work to do. Now, I just wake up and feel lost. What Emma was describing wasn't laziness. It was identity grief. The collapse of the external scaffolding that had held her self-worth for so long. It took time, months of discomfort, tears, stillness, before she began to feel something new. The quiet hum of being. She started painting again. Not for an audience, not to sell, but because it felt like breathing. She began taking long walks without tracking steps. She rested because her body asked for it, not because she'd earned it. And one day, she said something simple but profound. I think I'm meeting myself for the first time, without the job, without the title, without the proving. That's what happens when achievement stops defining you. You don't lose yourself. You finally meet yourself. Achievement feels addictive because it activates the brain's reward system. Every success releases dopamine, the chemical of pleasure and motivation. It feels good, which keeps us chasing the next win. But underneath, the pattern is fear-driven. We achieve not just to grow, but to avoid feeling unworthy. That's why so many people reach their goals and still feel empty. Because the achievement changed, but the belief didn't. The belief that says, I'm only as valuable as what I produce. Until you question that belief, you'll keep needing new proof. New goals, new recognition, new evidence that you matter. But when you begin to see your worth as intrinsic, you stop chasing worthiness and start living from it. That's the shift from achieving for identity to achieving from identity. The space between doing and being. When you stop achieving, something uncomfortable happens. Space opens up. Space that used to be filled with tasks, goals, and validation. And in that space you might feel panic. Because silence has a way of revealing what noise used to cover. You might notice loneliness, restlessness, fear, or even grief. Grief for the years spent running. Grief for the self you never got to know. But that space isn't empty. It's fertile. It's the soil of becoming. It's where you learn the language of your own being. This is the in-between. Not quite who you were, not yet who you'll be. It's the uncomfortable middle, but it's also sacred ground. Because when you can sit in that in-between, without rushing to fill it, you begin to remember who you are beneath it all. The nervous system of worth. Let's talk about your body. Because your body keeps score. When you live in constant proving mode, your nervous system stays in fight or flight. Adrenaline and cortisol become your daily fuel. Even when you rest, you don't really rest. You just collapse. That's why stopping feels unsafe. Your body associates stillness with danger. Because it's never known peace without productivity. Reclaiming identity beyond achievement isn't just mental. It's nervous system healing. Every time you breathe deeply instead of rushing. Every time you say no to one more task. Every time you rest before burnout. You teach your body a new story. I am safe, even when I'm not achieving. That's where self-trust begins. Not in doing more, but in learning safety in being. If you can, take a deep breath right now. Inhale through your nose. Exhale slowly through your mouth. Feel the weight of your body. The rise and fall of your chest. The steadiness of your breath. Now, quietly ask yourself, who am I when I'm not achieving? Don't rush to answer. Just notice what comes up. Maybe fear, maybe blankness, maybe peace. Whatever it is, it's okay. This is what it feels like to be. Not to perform, not to prove, but simply to exist. That is the foundation of your identity. Not what you do, but the awareness that remains when the doing stops. The beginning of being. As we close this first part, I want you to remember this. You were never meant to live as a checklist. You were never meant to confuse your essence with your achievements. The world will always ask you to prove your worth. But your soul is asking for something else. To remember that you already are. The next time you feel lost or behind, pause and ask, who am I when I stop proving? You might be surprised by the answer. It won't sound like a title. It won't sound like a resume. It will sound like truth. Soft, steady, and unconditional. Because who you are without achieving is who you've been all along. Whole, worthy, and enough. In the next part, we'll explore what happens in the space between doing and being. Why that void feels so uncomfortable, and how to find peace inside it. But for now, breathe. You don't have to earn your place here. You already belong. There's a strange silence that follows achievement, the kind that feels less like peace and more like loss. You reach the goal, finish the task, cross the finish line. And instead of satisfaction, there's emptiness. You should feel proud. You should feel fulfilled. But instead you feel unsure, restless. You look around and wonder, what's next? That feeling is the void. It's the space between doing and being. It's what happens when the rush of achieving fades and you're left face to face with yourself. Without the noise, without the title, without the proving. And if you've built your life on motion, that stillness can feel unbearable. The panic of slowing down. When we stop doing, our nervous system panics. It's not used to silence. Stillness feels wrong, like we're wasting time, like we're falling behind. That panic isn't weakness. It's conditioning. We've been trained to equate busyness with worth, movement with meaning, and stillness with failure. So when life slows down, maybe by choice, maybe by burnout, maybe by loss, it can feel like identity death. Because suddenly, the roles that defined us are gone. The noise that drowned our insecurities is gone. And we're left with the question, who am I without the doing? The answer doesn't come quickly. Because in that void, your old identity is dissolving, and the new one hasn't yet formed. And even though it feels like collapse, it's actually transformation. When the labels fall away. Think of all the labels you carry. Your job title, your relationship status, your responsibilities, your reputation. Each one is like a costume you wear in the play of life. They help you navigate the world, but they're not the whole of who you are. When those labels fade or change, it's natural to feel lost. You might say, I don't know who I am anymore. But maybe what's really happening is this. You're meeting yourself beneath the roles for the first time. The void strips away what isn't essential, so you can discover what's true. The nervous system's fear of stillness. There's a biological reason the void feels so uncomfortable. Your body associates busyness with safety. Movement means survival. Stillness feels like danger. That's why the moment you try to rest, your brain floods with thoughts. I should be doing something. You're wasting time. You're falling behind. It's not that you can't relax. It's that your body doesn't yet trust rest. It's been trained to equate stillness with risk. Learning to exist in the void is nervous system work. It's about teaching your body a new story. I am safe even when I'm not productive. That's not just mindset, that's biology healing. The emotional landscape of the void. When you stop doing, emotions surface, the ones busyness kept buried. You might feel sadness, anger, loneliness, or confusion. Not because you've done something wrong, but because the noise used to numb you. The void brings truth to the surface. It's where you start to feel things you avoided, the fatigue, the unmet needs, the quiet ache of being human. It can be overwhelming, yes. But it's also sacred. Because emotions that were once suppressed finally have room to move through you. You start realizing that healing isn't about feeling better. It's about feeling everything. Safely. Let me tell you about Daniel. He was the kind of person who always needed a goal. Every year had a plan, every month had a target. He wasn't just achieving. He was surviving through achievement. Then one day everything stopped. The company he worked for shut down, and suddenly, there was no next goal, no next project. He said to me, I don't know what to do with myself. If I'm not achieving something, I feel like I'm disappearing. That's the void talking, the space between old identity and new self. At first, Daniel tried to fill the gap. He made new lists, created new plans, chased new certifications. But none of it landed. He felt exhausted by his own efforts to avoid the silence. One day, during a walk, he said, I think I'm scared that if I stop trying to matter, I'll find out I never did. And that's the raw truth most of us hide from. But he stayed with it. He started journaling without goals, just thoughts. He cooked without counting macros. He watched sunsets without photographing them. Months later, he said quietly, I don't think I need to matter to anyone else right now. I just need to exist. That's what happens in the void. You stop performing long enough to remember what it feels like to be. The false urgency of modern life. The world tells us that urgency is noble. That speed equals success. That slowing down is failure. But have you noticed how this constant rush doesn't actually bring fulfillment? It brings anxiety. It brings burnout. It brings disconnection from ourselves and each other. We scroll faster, work longer, plan harder, and yet we feel emptier. Because the soul doesn't move at that speed. The soul moves slowly, gently, honestly. When you honor the pace of your soul, you begin to see that what you called falling behind was actually realigning. You weren't losing momentum. You were finding meaning. Sitting in the in-between. There's a saying, between who you were and who you're becoming, there's a space called grace. That's the void. Grace disguised as emptiness. It's the space where your old identity unravels and your true self emerges. It's uncomfortable because the old habits still whisper, you should be doing more. But the truth is, you're already doing the hardest thing. Being present with yourself. This is where trust is built. Not in motion, but in stillness. Not in achievement, but in allowance. The void is not punishment. It's preparation. It's where the roots grow before anything blooms. The art of letting go. The hardest part of the void is letting go of what no longer fits. The identities, titles, or personas that once kept you safe might now feel suffocating. Letting go doesn't mean rejecting your past. It means releasing the belief that you must always stay the same. Maybe you're not the overachiever anymore. Maybe you're not the caretaker, the perfectionist, the rescuer. Maybe you're becoming something softer, truer, freer. You don't have to know what that looks like yet. You just have to stop forcing yourself to be who you were. Because becoming isn't a project. It's a permission slip. A guided reflection. If you're in a season of not achieving, if the quiet feels heavy and unfamiliar, I want you to take a deep breath right now. Inhale. Exhale. Feel your body, the ground beneath you, the rhythm of your breath. Nothing to fix. Nothing to prove. Now ask yourself gently, what if this space isn't a failure? What if it's a beginning? Imagine the void not as an empty room, but as a womb, dark, still, but full of life waiting to emerge. This is where transformation happens. Not in the noise, but in the quiet becoming. The emerging self. Eventually, something begins to shift. You stop fearing the stillness. You start hearing yourself again. Your intuition, your real desires, your quiet truth. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It says things like, I want to rest. I want to create. I want to live slower. I want to feel peace. These whispers are the language of your emerging self. They were always there, waiting beneath the noise of doing. And slowly, the void stops feeling like loss and starts feeling like home. Because you realize that this space, this stillness, is where you actually meet the most honest version of you. The sacred pause. As we close this second part, I want you to remember, you are not lost. You are in transition. The space between who you were and who you're becoming is not failure. It's freedom. You're learning to exist without constant motion. You're learning to feel safe without constant proof. You're learning to rest inside your own being. This is not the end of achievement. It's the rebirth of identity. Because who you are when you're not achieving isn't nothing. It's everything real that remains. In the next part, we'll talk about what it means to live and create from being. How to achieve without attachment. How to work from wholeness instead of lack. And how to finally feel free in a world that measures everything. But for now, take one last deep breath. Let your shoulders drop. Let yourself exist. Fully, freely, gently. You are not falling behind. You are becoming. Becoming someone without proving. What if you could live without constantly needing to prove who you are? What if success felt like peace, not pressure? That's what this final chapter is about. The quiet freedom of becoming someone who no longer has to earn their right to exist. When doing turns into being, there comes a moment when you realize achievement isn't the enemy. Attachment is. Goals aren't the problem. Grasping is. You can still create, still build, still strive, but from a steadier place. Doing from fear says, I have to prove I'm enough. Doing from presence says, I already am enough, and this is how I want to express it. That single shift changes everything. You start writing, teaching, leading, parenting, dreaming, not to earn love but to extend it. And that's what it means to become someone without proving. To live from overflow, not emptiness. The freedom of non-attachment. Achievement is beautiful until your worth depends on it. The moment you cling to outcomes, you trade freedom for fear. True mastery isn't control. It's trust. It's doing the work, releasing the result, and letting life co-create with you. You can still care deeply about your craft, your goals, your future. But the energy is different. There's softness where there used to be strain. There's joy where there used to be judgment. You stop asking, did I do enough? And start asking, did I do this with love? The everyday practice of enoughness. Living without proving isn't a one-time revelation. It's a daily practice of remembering. Morning after morning, you'll feel the pull of old habits. Check the phone, check the metrics, check the mirror. And each time, you get to choose again. You can whisper, I'm still enough. Enough with messy hair. Enough when the inbox is full. Enough when no one claps. This is how the nervous system relearns safety. Through repetition, gentleness, honesty. It's not glamorous. It's sacred. The story of Maya, vignette. Maya used to introduce herself by her achievements. She had the resume, the applause, the constant motion. But one day she burned out so completely that even success lost its flavor. She said, I don't know how to exist without a to-do list. At first, she panicked. Then she got curious. She started doing one small thing each day just for being. A walk, a song, a journal entry with no goal. Months later she realized she was still ambitious. Just differently. Her ambition became peace. Her productivity became presence. She said, I still want to build things. I just don't want to disappear inside them. That's what it looks like to become someone without proving. You still shine, but the light doesn't burn you anymore. Purpose reimagined. Purpose used to mean chasing a calling. Now it means embodying one. It's not a single achievement or role. It's how you show up wherever you are. When your sense of worth is internal, everything you touch becomes purposeful. A conversation, a meal, a moment of silence. You stop asking life for validation and start offering it your presence. Rest as creation. When you finally detach from proving, rest stops feeling like an interruption. It becomes part of creation itself. In stillness, ideas return. In quiet, clarity grows. In rest, energy renews. You realize that pausing doesn't take you away from purpose. It returns you to it. That's how artists, parents, dreamers, and builders stay alive in their work. They let themselves breathe. Relationships without performance. Proving doesn't only happen at work. It happens in love too. We try to earn affection by being useful, impressive, or endlessly available. But when you live from being, you show up differently. You stop auditioning for love and start participating in it. You listen more. You explain less. You give without losing yourself. You let others have their own timing and you honor yours. Love becomes partnership, not performance. Connection becomes freedom, not captivity. Returning to simplicity. As your life simplifies, your presence deepens. You start finding joy in ordinary moments. The sunlight on the floor, the first sip of coffee, the breath before you speak. You stop chasing extraordinary and start noticing the sacred hiding inside the ordinary. That's what being really is. Seeing clearly again. Now, close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And exhale slowly. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let yourself arrive. Now whisper, quietly, I am here. Notice that even when you're not achieving, you still exist. You're still breathing. You're still whole. That awareness, the one watching, the one listening, that's who you are. It doesn't vanish when the work stops. It doesn't shrink when you rest. It's constant. It's home. Stay here for a moment. This is the truth beneath every title, every task, every triumph. You were always enough. Living from wholeness. From this place, achievement becomes play again. You can write a book, start a company, raise a child, or chase a dream. Not to fill a void but to express your fullness. Success stops being a measure of worth and becomes an expression of joy. Failure stops being a verdict and becomes information. Work stops being proof and becomes art. You begin to trust life again. You realize that worth and purpose were never outside you. They were waiting under the noise. Enough, even here. So, who are you when you're not achieving? You are the space between breaths. You are the awareness behind your thoughts. You are the calm that remains after the applause fades. You are life itself, moving, breathing, belonging. When you remember that, everything changes. Achievement becomes lighter. Rest becomes easier. Love becomes safer. Because you no longer need to prove that you're enough. You simply remember that you always were. Take one last deep breath. Whisper it to yourself. I am enough even here. Then open your eyes. And carry that truth into whatever you choose to create next. You've just finished Who Are You When You're Not Achieving? A journey back to the truth of who you are. Remember this. You were never the sum of your accomplishments. You were the awareness behind them. You were never the roles you played. You were the being underneath them. When you stop proving, you start becoming. When you rest in your enoughness, you return to peace. Carry this knowing into your days, into your work, your love, your quiet moments. Let your achievements come from fullness, not fear. Let your rest be sacred, not earned. You are not behind. You are becoming. If this talk spoke to you, share it with someone who's learning to slow down too. And remember, you don't have to do more to be more. You already are. Continue your journey in permission to be enough. The book that inspired this episode. Thank you for listening to Book with Joys. I'll see you in the next episode.